much for being here. I want to thank the advocates standing with us. I want to thank my Congressman, Dan Goldman, for his leadership in the House. I want to thank Henry Garrido, the Executive Director of DC 37, for his leadership. Edwin Osario, the first Vice President of AFG Council 220. Jack Cooperman, who is our elder advocate. Thank you for that. Thank you. Alex Lawson, our Executive Director of Social Security Works, and other advocates who are here to stand with us. I appreciate you raising your voices, telling your stories, making sure you're heard on this issue, because it's affecting New Yorkers all across our state. President Trump and Elon Musk think they can just steal from hardworking seniors, hardworking Americans who have put this money into their Social Security account so they would have it when they retire. But they're wrong. People across New York, people across this country are not going to stand for it, and they are not putting up with it. They're saying hands off our money, hands off our futures, and hands off our Social Security benefits. The other day I met a gentleman who worked at Amtrak who said, "Madam Senator," now this doesn't happen to me very often. Rarely does a constituent actually know what I do in Washington, but he came up to me and said, "Madam Senator, thank you so much for protecting my Social Security. Thank you so much for standing against the cuts that President Trump and Elon Musk want to make against my Social Security." He understood what was at risk, he understood the issue, and he wanted to tell me to keep fighting. So that is why we are standing here today, to be standing on behalf of our constituents who do not want their Social Security to be taken away. I've heard this issue from people across the state. People are very concerned about the offices that might be cut, whether it's the office in White Plains, whether it's the office in Poughkeepsie, or any other office around our state that is now at risk. They're unhappy with the fact that when they call the Social Security Administration, they are put on hold. I have a constituent who was on hold for more than 5 hours, multiple days in a row, just to get an answer from the Social Security Administration. Retirees in their 60s, 70s, 80s, they have been reaching out to my office nonstop since this attack on Social Security happened. Now, we know that our Social Security is our money. It's our hard-earned dollars that we put a piece of money in every paycheck. My son, who's 16, had his first job last summer. He got his paycheck, and I showed him, this is your Social Security money right here. $18 went into your Social Security as a 16-year-old. So he knows today, as a young man, I am putting a little bit of my hard-earned money away for the time when I am retired, so that I can make sure I do not have to live in poverty, I do not have to starve to death, I do not have to be unable to support myself when I'm a senior. The Trump administration's cuts, however, are making it more and more difficult for our retirees to access their Social Security. The website keeps crashing. They keep demanding you use online services, and they're not working. It's wrong and it's unfair. My office has been working closely with a number of constituents across the state. One constituent was told she had to speak to a specific person at Social Security to get her check. She called every day, sometimes more than once a day, left messages. She waited the entire month of March for a callback. And when we finally contacted the Social Security Administration on her behalf, she still didn't get a callback until April. It's unacceptable, it's outrageous, and it's unfair. As the ranking member on the Senate Committee on Aging, I've sent letters to the Trump administration over and over again denouncing these recent actions, demanding answers. I've asked this administration to explain to Congress what it's doing and who's running the Social Security Administration website, why they're putting our seniors' data at risk. I've asked for detailed information about the Social Security offices that are having their leases terminated, including 2 in New York, as I mentioned, and what their plans are to cut the services for phone service. The administration has allegedly scaled back on some of these initiatives, but they are unwilling to answer my questions, they're unwilling to respond, they're unwilling to listen to the American people when they say, hands off my Social Security. Social Security is our country's largest anti-poverty program. Reducing access is not just cruel, but it's an economic catastrophe in the making. It's harmful, it's hurtful, and we will continue to stand against it. So please send us your stories. Tell us what's happening to you personally so that we can elevate those stories, so I can talk about them not only for the press, but on the Senate floor and when I do events like this all across the state. We need this administration to understand that what they are doing is hurting hardworking Americans and is hurting people who have saved and made sure they had this money for when they retire. Seniors should not be scared to death about not getting access to the benefits that they've earned. I'd now like to invite up my congressman and my colleague, Dan Goldman, to talk about what he's doing for his district.
Thank you so much, Senator Gillibrand. Thank you for your leadership on this and highlighting how vital this issue is. And I want to thank all of our advocates who are here. We have Jack Kupferman, Gabriel from AFG, Edwin Osorio, Alex Lawson, Henry Garrido. We have our advocates for the retirees. These are all people who represent many hundreds of thousands of others who rely on Social Security. And let's be very clear, this is not a handout. This is not some sort of government program that is giving money out to people who are retired. These are earned benefits. Every American with a Social Security number puts money into the Social Security Trust so that they can get a retirement fee, a retirement salary after retiring, and they can therefore live in dignity for the remainder of their lives. But what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to do is very sneaky. They are not going to say that they're cutting Social Security benefits. Instead, what they are doing is they're making it impossible for the Social Security Administration to process the benefits. They're doing that by cutting offices. They're doing that by cutting staff. And keep in mind, the administrative costs for Social Security are 1% of the Social Security budget. That is not how you cut costs for the Social Security program. Yet they are doing that. And then, on top of it, they're saying to seniors that you have to go into these offices that no longer exist in order to get your questions answered. Now, in large part because of advocacy from folks like this, from the senator, from me and our colleagues in Congress and over in the Senate, our voices have pushed back. And they are now ensuring that phone service, at least nominally, is available. But of course, the phone service can be 3 or 4 hours. So this is how they are taking away your benefits. They're not saying that they're taking away your benefits. They are just making it impossible. And these are not people who have their hand out. These are people, Americans, over 70 million, who either have disabilities or are retired now after working careers, hard-working Americans. And this is part of Donald Trump and Elon Musk's effort to defund and privatize all of our government-earned benefits. And why are they doing that? They're not trying to reduce the deficit. They are trying to pave the way to cut taxes for people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk. This is all part of their plan to cut Social Security, to cut Medicare, to cut Medicaid, to cut SNAP. These are programs that hundreds of millions of Americans rely on. It is absolutely unacceptable, and we will continue to make our voices heard so that the benefits flow, that the processing is done well, and that Americans' private personal information is protected. I'm proud to sponsor a bill in the House that would protect taxpayer data from Elon Musk and his band of 20-something misfits who have access to Social Security, who have access to the Treasury Department. They are using this information for nefarious purposes. They are now using this information to track the immigration status of people living in this country. They are using this information through their algorithms and AI to cut benefits for Americans. Even in more than 6,000 cases, they are labeling people who are alive as dead so that they, A, don't get their benefits, and B, no longer have the protection on their personal identification information. It is an attack on hardworking Americans, and we will not put up with it. Thank you.
Well said. Henry Garrido, our Executive Director of DC 37.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Henry Garrido. I'm the Executive Director of DC 37, the largest municipal union of municipal workers here in New York City, representing 150,000 members and 89,000 retirees. I'm also the International Vice President for ASME, the public sector unions in Washington, D.C. I want to start by thanking Senator Gillibrand and our Congressman Goldman for being the leaders, stepping up and protecting working people. You know, last night I had an interesting conversation with my mother. I'm a single child. And about 16 weeks ago, my mother reached out to Social Security to obtain a copy of something that they were requiring her for her benefits. And it was a simple statement of Social Security benefits of what she had received 16 weeks ago. After paying the $61 required, she's still been waiting, and she was just sent back the same form she sent 3 times to her home, which has denied her the opportunity. And because I'm her son, I'm her lawyer and her union rep, she thinks, I had to reach out and try to ask. And the frustration I felt pales in comparison to the frustration she's been feeling for at least 16 weeks. We have a situation where we have a federal government that is defunding Social Security in a way that is very sneaky and very unfair. We have already reduced over 7,000 positions for Social Security, headcount of people who provide services, where we were already in a 50-year low. That is unacceptable. This is, as they say, justice denied, delayed is justice denied. And for many seniors that live in the city that depend on this for their day-to-day life, this is unacceptable. So we're coming here to not only protest the unfairness, the inequity that's taking place, but also remind folks that those retirees that are depending on Social Security pay their price through their work, through their sacrifices. They made it possible for us to be here today. They made it possible through their shared sacrifices to make sure that those of us who are coming later, who are retirees in training, as we like to say at our union, receive those benefits, and they deserve better. So we're here to stand up on behalf of labor, and we'll continue to fight. Hands off our Social Security, hands off of our Social Security now, and we're demanding that services are provided for those who have paid the price. Thank you very much.
Well said, Henry. Our next speaker is Edwin Osorio, First Vice President for the Labor Relations AFG Council 220 Social Security Administration Field Office.
Thank you, Senator. Hello, everyone. My name is Edwin Osorio. I'm also a local president for Local 3369, representing field office Social Security employees in the 5 boroughs, Nassau, Suffolk County, and Westchester County. However, what gives me the most privilege is to be a civil servant, serving the American people, making sure that they get their Social Security checks. I have a special passion for Social Security because I'm a former recipient of SSI and Social Security. You see, I'm legally blind. I was legally blind as a child, and I know the impact of that check coming in when it's expected. And unfortunately, there was a time when I didn't get the check. It was lost in the mail. They did paper checks then, and it was a big difference. Just those couple of days that I had to wait. And that's 73 million people who wait for checks. That's a promise that we made to Americans, all Americans. It's a promise that as Americans, in order to continue what we look at as American exceptionalism, we have to continue that promise. And the way to do that is to tell our members of Congress, our senators and our senators and our congressmen, protect Social Security. Make sure that Social Security is there. Social Security is built on egalitarian principles that we define ourselves as Americans. This is what makes us distinct from everyone else, is that we take care of our own. We make sure that if you work hard, we will take care of you when you need us. But if we're not there, we are not keeping our promise. So I want to give my great thanks to Senator Gillibrand and Congressman Goldman and everyone else here, because we remain steadfast, committed to making sure that Social Security does for future generations what is done for past generations. Just think about this. Before 1935, if you were headed for retirement, if you were 3/4 of the population, 6-7% by some estimates, lived in poverty. Social Security, as of 2023, has cut that down to 10%. That means we can do better, but that also means we're on the right track, and we want to continue on that right track. And the way to do it is to make sure that Social Security is protected at all costs. It belongs to us. It belongs to you. Nobody can take it away from you. Use your voice, support your Congress in protecting Social Security, and I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Edwin. Our next speaker is Jack Cooperman, Elder Advocate.
Good morning. And first of all, I'll say thank you to Senator Gillibrand and to Congressman Goldman. I am a Social Security recipient. And as a matter of fact, I had gone across the street to secure my Social Security benefits and also make sure that my Medicare was in place. I'm grateful for that. I'm also the former president of Gray Panthers NYC, and in that role, we've heard from many people who are terrified of losing access to Social Security information and opportunity to a smooth transition for benefits. My cohorts, people who are of a similar age to mine, have also applied for Social Security and received it, and almost inevitably they said it may not have been a simple process, but they were always encouraged by the staff of the Social Security, the people who were reaching out and being of assistance, of providing high quality services. The focus now on reducing access and ultimately to defund or change the entire program of Social Security is shameful. Older people, for the most part, are they're intelligent and understand things, but the shift to technology in so many things, while that is a big step forward, not everybody is technologically savvy. Myself as well. I can handle most of this stuff, but I am challenged, and I'm doing okay. What about the people who are behind me, not here physically, but behind me, who do not have those same skills, those same opportunities? It's shameful to even consider the fact that there may be reductions or shifts for things that will minimize the quality of life for millions of Americans, older Americans and disabled Americans. You know, many of us know that overwhelmingly Social Security is supported by older Americans and by everyone, overwhelmingly. There are so many people, older people, who in the United States who rely on Social Security benefits as their primary source of income. Denying access or limiting access to that is the equivalent of saying, no, you cannot have your benefits that you've earned for years. Social Security does not increase the deficit. It is only, as has been said many times before, it is about our money that we've been providing for decades. To even consider making that the possibility on the chopping block is shameful. This is not what the United States of America is about, and we need to ensure that we can stay fully productive with everybody having the benefits that they are entitled to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Alex Lawson, the Executive Director of the Social Security Works.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Congressman, and to everybody who's speaking today, and to everyone at home. My name is Alex Lawson. I'm the Executive Director of Social Security Works. And as we've heard, right now, we're in a crisis moment. People are calling in about their benefits, and they're waiting 5 hours on the phone. That's unacceptable. And even then, the phones are being dropped. The calls are being dropped. People are having to call back day after day. How can it be about efficiency when the system is getting less efficient? Do you know what the average wait time at the end of the last administration was? 12 minutes. Is 5 hours more efficient than 12 minutes? No. The fraud rate in Social Security is infinitesimally low. It can't be about fraud because they fired the Inspector General. It was the first thing they did. The people who are in charge of rooting out fraud. It's not about efficiency. It's not about fraud. It can't be about saving money since this is costing the American taxpayer money. So what's it about? An attack on the Social Security system, the destruction of the Social Security Administration so that we can't get access to our own money. This is our money. Nobody gives us anything when it comes to Social Security. We earn it. We pay in out of every one of our paychecks, and it's there for us when we need it. This is a ploy by an unelected billionaire bureaucrat named Elon Musk and his boss, Donald Trump, to destroy Social Security. They're trying to wreck it so that they can rob it to give tax handouts to their billionaire buddies and their campaign donors. Let me be as clear as possible. This is about destroying Social Security. And thank you to our elected representatives who stand with the people and not with the billionaires. But also, it's not going to be Congress who saves this. It's not going to be anybody but us. It will take millions of Americans raising our voices together and saying, hands off Social Security. This is our money, Elon Musk. This is our money, President Trump. You're not going to get your greedy little hands on it, and neither are any of the billionaires who are funding this attack on our system. So thank you so much.
Well said. Well said, Alex. Well said. Well said. We're happy to take questions from the press.
Senator, you mentioned, obviously, the tax administration from Elon Musk. Are you seeing any kind of similar attacks in Congress, in the Senate, in the House, from those kinds of lawmakers on Social Security?
No. In fact, some senators are working on a bipartisan basis to protect pieces of Social Security, to make sure there are not penalties for being married, penalties for having savings. So in fact, this is an example of where Congress hopefully eventually will stand up to President Trump and Elon Musk. If they don't, shame on them. This is a all hands on deck moment. We have to protect Social Security, and making sure New Yorkers' voices are heard is my main job.
But in terms of keeping staff in place and getting those wait times down, would more funding from Congress help do that, or is it really just the administration something blocking that funding?
They have the funding. They have the resources. They're cutting offices, cutting staff, cutting the resources that is going to Social Security. So if they would just leave it alone, it was functioning very well. And long term, we should blow the cap so all income levels are going into Social Security. Yeah.
I just like to say one thing. It's a misnomer when people say that Social Security is adding to the deficit, as Mr. Lawson said. Social Security has a trust fund of $2.6 trillion. I apologize. Social Security has a trust fund of $2.6 trillion. Now, Social Security spends about 0.9% of overlay on administering the agency. Even if we had 1.2%, which would allow us to fund, going back to the way we staffed the agency in 2010, we would be able to increase services exponentially. Now, compare that to other insurance agencies, such as Cigna or Blue Cross Blue Shield, where they're running administrative expenses of 15 and 20%. So Social Security is the most efficient agency before ever seeing DOGE. We only became less efficient since they got involved.
And your members who work in Social Security office?
I am a Social Security employee, yes.
Yeah, so what's their morale right now? All these cuts, all this pressure. What's their morale?
They feel so disenchanted. They feel alienated. You see, as civil servants, we take pride in the work that we do. We get a pride out of having somebody sitting in front of us, and we can tell them when they're going to receive their benefit, how much their benefit's going to be, and now they can put food on the table. Now they know where their next month's rent is going to be. We derive a lot of pride for that. And when we're being hindered by being told by the administrative narrative that we're public enemy number one all of a sudden, and we're part of the bureaucracy that's doing everything wrong, it makes it very difficult, very challenging to start that day and not hope for it to end. But my hope is that things will change. And I feel confident because none of you would be here. And you guys are hope that tomorrow would be a better day for Social Security. And when tomorrow is a better day for Social Security, it's a better day for everybody.
I just want to add one thing to your question on the bipartisanship of Social Security in Congress. At the tail end of the Biden administration, Congress, including a Republican majority House, passed in a bipartisan way the Social Security Fairness Act, which corrected an unfair penalty for 3 million public servants who were not getting their owed benefits because of their pension. And that was actually brought to the floor by, in the House, what's called a discharge petition, meaning that the Republican leadership did not put it on the floor. It was the rank and file Republican members who signed on to that in order for it to come to the floor, be voted on, and ultimately become law.
Did you see a similar thing happen to Social Security this session?
I never try to predict what the Republicans will do. This Republican Congress has completely turned over all of its authority to Donald Trump. If they ever do find a spine, then yes, this is one thing they could and should do.
Thank you. Any other questions for the press? All right. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
That was great.
Good
Thanks for
job.
doing that.
Good job.
Thank you, Senator.